Hey, what's going on, guys? This video lesson is about how to play basic major and minor bar chords, okay? We're going to be playing major and minor bar chords rooted on both the E and the A string. Okay, so if you're a beginner and you don't know what a bar chord is, this lesson is for you. If you've been playing for a little bit of time and you do know what a bar chord is, but you don't know what makes a bar chord major and minor, and you just kind of tend to stick to power chords a lot, well, this lesson may also be for you as well. Okay, so basically a major and minor bar chord, although it's very basic and just extremely basic, it's very, very useful. You're going to use bar chords throughout the entire life of your playing, okay? So songs are consisted of major and minor chords all the time. That's primarily what makes up songs, is major chords and minor chords. Alright, so what I'm showing you, although basic, is going to be an extremely, extremely useful lesson that you're going to use throughout the life of your playing. Okay, so with that said, when I say rooted on the E and the A string, what I mean is if you take any of the notes on the low E string, okay, any random fret, say I would take the 7th fret of the low E string. The 7th fret of the low E string is the note B, okay? So if I were to just play that note, I just played the note B. Okay, but I can also build a full chord off of it. I can make that a B major chord, or I can make that a B minor chord. Alright, so the root is B. Okay, that's the lowest note of the chord. And I can play a full B major chord or a full B minor chord using these shapes I'm going to show you. And the same shapes can be applied to any fret, okay? Same thing with the A. If I were to take any random note on the A string, okay, say I were to take the 5th fret of the A string, which is the note D, I can then build either a major bar chord or a minor bar chord, resulting in a D major chord or a D minor chord, okay? So 4 different shapes, and that's basically it. So let me get to the first shape, okay? The first shape is, as you see here, this is a major bar chord rooted on the low E string. Okay, so it's telling you to do this particular shape here. This example is using the 3rd fret, okay? Because remember, the thick black line represents the nut of the guitar, so that's the start of the frets. So it's telling you to bar the 3rd fret and then place your other 3 fingers accordingly, okay? Okay, so that is because it's on the 3rd fret of the low E string, which is a G, that's a G major bar chord, okay? But this bar chord shape can be moved anywhere. If I were to play this on the 5th fret, the 5th fret on the low E string is the note A, so that would be an A major bar chord. Or if I were to move it to the 7th fret, that's the note B. That makes it a B major bar chord. Okay, this can be played on any of the frets on the guitar, doesn't matter. Whatever the fret number is of the low E string, that's what type of major bar chord it is. Okay, so the second type of bar chord I'm going to show you is, as per this diagram, is a minor bar chord rooted on the E string. Okay, so again, we're using the 3rd fret example. 3rd fret of the low E string is the note G, so this example is a G minor bar chord. Okay, and this, again, you bar the whole 3rd fret with your 1st finger, and then you place your other 2 fingers down like this. And as you can see, it's the same thing as the last bar chord shape, except now you just pick your middle finger up. You're not using your middle finger anymore. Alright, so this makes a G minor bar chord shape. Alright, and this can also be moved anywhere. If I were to play this on the 5th fret, which is the A, this would be an A minor bar chord. If I were to move it to the 7th fret, it would be a B minor bar chord. 8th fret, which is a note C, C minor bar chord. Okay, so all these chord shapes can be played anywhere. They're all movable, as is everything on the guitar. Okay, so now let's do some bar chords rooted on the A string. Okay, so The shape that you see here is a minor bar chord shape rooted on the A string. And again, we're using the 3rd fret example. So the 3rd fret of the A string is the note C. Okay? So you apply the shape, and notice you don't play anything on the E string, the low E string. The low E string has an X next to it, meaning it's X'd out. So you don't play that. You play the shape. The result is a C minor bar chord. Okay? Because the note, the 3rd fret of the A string is the note C. This is a minor bar chord rooted on the A string. Okay, so this is a C minor bar chord. If I was to play this on the 5th fret, the 5th fret of the A string is a D. So this is a D minor bar chord. Okay, 7th fret. 7th fret of the A string is the note E. This becomes an E minor bar chord. Okay, so this can be moved anywhere as well. Okay, now the final type of bar chord I'm going to show you can be played in 2 ways. Okay, the final bar chord is a major bar chord rooted on the A string, but it can be played 2 ways, and I'll show you both ways. So the first way, as you can see in this diagram here, again we're using the 3rd fret example. 3rd fret of the A string is the note C. So you bar the 3rd fret with your 1st finger, but you don't play the low E string, so you're only barring 5 strings, okay? And then you cram these other 3 fingers into the 5th fret as shown here, okay? And your 1st finger is barring, so this sounds like this. Okay, so that's a C major bar chord. Again, this can be moved anywhere. If I was to play it on the 5th fret, the 5th fret of the A string is the note D, so it's a D major bar chord. Okay, 7th fret of the A string is an E, so it's an E major bar chord. Okay, now as you can see, it can get kind of difficult to cram all 3 of these fingers into just one fretting area. Alright, so there's another way to play this. It's a little easier. Alright, and the way to do that is, as per this new diagram, you simply place your 1st finger on the root note of the A string. So again, we're back to the note C, 3rd fret. And then you just bar the next 3 strings with your 3rd finger. Okay, but you don't play anything on the high E string. You mute out the high E string, okay? So you're just playing 4 notes. Okay, so that becomes a C major bar chord again. The reason you don't play anything on the high E string when you're doing it this way is because you don't want to bar. If you have your 3rd finger pressed down and it's touching the high E string, you're no longer playing just a C major chord. At this point, it becomes a different chord because this note is not a note within the C major chord. Okay, so if you were to play it the first way, this note is part of the C major chord, but this note is not. So if you're going to do the 1st finger and then using your 3rd finger to bar the 3 strings, you cannot play the low E string. Or you can, but it's not going to be a major chord anymore. It's actually going to be a 6th chord, but that's a topic for another lesson. So C major. Okay, if you move it to the 5th fret, it becomes a D major chord again. 7th fret, D major chord. 7th fret, E major chord. Okay? And just make sure if you're going to do it this way, pay attention not to play the high E string, okay? So, you can play the major bar chord rooted on the E string however you'd like, whichever is more comfortable for you. I often do both, you know. Sometimes I'll play it like this if I can fit my fingers in there and I'm playing on the lower fret area. If it's up here, I'll just do the bar chord way, okay, where I'm barring with my 3rd finger. But that covers all of your different types of bar chords, major and minor, both rooted on the E and the A string. And with that, you can play a ton of songs, okay, because songs are primarily comprised of major chords and minor chords, okay? So that basically wraps it up for this lesson. If you have any questions or if I missed anything, feel free to ask and I'll get back to you. Thanks a lot.